Hello friends, Jeff here and welcome to Squadron, Facebook Live. Today we're going to talk about books again. I know we talked about books a couple of weeks ago, the difference between a book or pulling stuff from the computer, but recently, actually a couple of days ago, we got a truckload of books in, I think between 100 and 150 titles. Some are older, most are new, and I grabbed a selection here just to introduce a couple books that is the best reference. Next week we probably do another session about this, and then we'll have Richard Paulson in here, who is actually a book fanatic, and he can tell more about books than I can, so that's coming. Meanwhile, as you noticed, we have Gwynne here, our CEO, and besides being our CEO and a lot of stuff, does a lot of stuff in the hobbies, she's also an avid reader and a moviegoer. So recently she went to the movies and watched this movie in 1917, the World War I epic, and I think she got inspired by it. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to her, and then she can tell her how it all came about. So tell us a little bit about the impact that the movie had, or a little bit about your background as far as books and models and whatnot. So go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, as you know, I particularly love movies that are history related. We went to see, and when we were young, what was that? Before
yeah, we never grow old from Peter Jackson.
Yeah, that was a documentary. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see it. If you have an interest in World War I history, or in, frankly, the miraculous mechanics of it, that's a great movie to see. And it was after that, when we came back as a group and were brainstorming, main reason I wanted to go see it at the time was to get a better understanding of the kind of model kits we could potentially offer. I didn't realize when I saw the movie how interested I would get in World War I. And we're very fortunate here at Squadron because we work with a number of vendors in the United States and internationally to have a lot of books available for both ourselves as well as our customers. And one of the big ones that we get books from is Casemate. Casemate's located, the U.S. office is in the Philadelphia area, which is near and dear to my heart.
I didn't know that.
And they have literally thousands of titles. So after that movie, I started reading up on World War I and checking out some of the model kits and so forth. So when I heard about 1917 coming out, I thought, my goodness, I can't wait to go see that. I have an interest in costuming as a hobby, and let me tell you, in that movie, if you really want authenticity, I think they did a marvelous job of reflecting what the uniforms in World War I looked like, in spite of the wear and tear. But the other aspect of it was the equipment, and not to steal any thunder from the movie, which my family and I thoroughly enjoyed. There is a dogfight, and with my love of aviation, one of the planes crashes. I won't tell you if it was the Germans or the English, but there were quite a few close-ups of this really amazing aircraft. And so when I got back to work the following week, I was thrilled to see this Casemate shipment come in, because the first thing I did was pull out all the books I could find that had to do with World War I, or in particular the battles in France, which is where the movie took place. I think it's amazing how much you can uplift what you're creating, whether it's in the hobby or it's in 2D artwork or what have you, by being able to see these live photographs. And most of the books that we bring in, not all of them, but most of them have not only great text and history, but a ton of great images. So if you want to see what a tank really looked like, especially in World War I, which was the birth of this kind of warfare, through what the uniforms look like, through what the aircraft look like, and then when you go to try and do a kit, I pulled a couple of them that we have from Roden. Roden in particular has done a great job with a lesser expensive version of World War I aircraft. Of course, Wingnut Wings does the amazing version of these kind of aircraft, way beyond my skill set. So, that was just my interest, and we were talking about it this week, and really, I can't emphasize enough how much more it brings to working on projects like this when you know the story behind it.
Yeah, it's always interesting, and especially now, more and more, you see more and more interest going out about World War I. So that period is coming back. Although World War II is still the mainstream of information, or at least of interest, but more and more so. World War One is being put back on the map. Again, this is again my point. Like sometimes you get so easily inspired by watching a movie. Can turn. Let's say that you're a World War II fanatic, and just by seeing a movie or a documentary about World War One, can just flip the switch and you just dive into the other subject. On top of that, of course, there are the books, and like I told you last time, there is so much out there. It's amazing once you pay attention to all the books and all the titles and all the topics that are out there. You can almost find anything, and that is the good thing about our hobby. That while building a model, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. Or some people don't understand that it's not building the model only, it's also the history around it. And the history is also, of course, documented in books and in movies. So if you're interested in some kind of topic in history, then there is a book for you somewhere. So that's, I can never say enough, just build a model, look up the information that's out there, and you will be amazed how much you'll learn, because you don't even have to be a history professor, but by basically building models for a couple of years, several years, and depending the topic you're interested in, you would be amazed that someday you wake up and somebody asks you a question and you can actually answer the question, because you just read up on it or saw pictures. So it's amazing.
Well, the other thing that's interesting too is that as you're building these kits, if you read about how the thing was actually constructed, it's surprising how much the kits are like how the original piece of equipment was built. And the technology and how it's grown, I'm not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but when I go and put one of these together and start to understand the mechanics of it and understand the history of how it happened and where it went from here, because we all know aviation literally and physically exploded during World War One. Building these kits helps that story come to life. And that original tank in World War One, I don't know what it was called. To me it looks like a rectangle with a large.
Oh, the mail in
yes.
It's a British tank.
I'm like, oh my goodness, how did that thing even work? And then you see in a movie how the thing actually went up and down the crevices and ravines and foxholes that had been dug, and the trenches. It's absolutely amazing. Makes you even more interested, because in that case we actually had somebody had built a beautiful, maybe it was you, a beautiful model that was in our showcase. And I remember we came back from the film, and now I'm looking, I was like, well, how do we get this kit in here, because people are going to be really interested again in that era of mechanics because of that film.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much to inspire someone, at least myself.
Well, speak for yourself.
I don't need much to get me going. I pulled up a couple of books here.
I see a lot of Panzers in here. You seem to definitely have a big interest in our friends in Germany, not so much friends, and also I see quite a few Russian era tanks.
I mean, believe it or not, we all know the history behind the war and the ones who were guilty of it. But German, whatever German still sells, either it's an airplane, it's armor, it's a book. German is still the number one interest as far as history and as far as modeling. So, but recently, after the wall came down, like in the 80s, there was so much, and also when Russia actually, the USSR disbanded, there's so much more information that came to the West, and now more and more so, the floodgates are open of all these private collections that were in Russia, or even the government that opens up, and you can see this in these books. I mean, it used to be that back in the day there were like maybe the usual pictures were around and everybody's seeing them, and some of the authors, they had to use the same pictures. But now every time a new book comes out, it's totally with new information, new pictures, and it even blows me away, because I thought I'd seen it all, and every time a case-made book comes in, it's just amazing. And like for instance this here, on the battlefield, this series is absolutely just fantastic. You get all these crystal clear black and white images, from photos I never seen before. So
what's really great about that too is I know part of the excitement of building a model is going beyond the box and adding to it, whether you're a scratch builder and you're creating the accessories to add, or you're thinking about going to an Edward or a True Details product. Now, with the use of these photographs, you can really see how that accessory is going to uplift your model and allow you to create something really special. Not to mention the environments that they're in, because I think one of the things that's hard to get right, the kit's precision. The kit's been developed by somebody who's done their homework, but when you go to put it into a diorama, and now you're in the driver's seat of creating the environment that tells the full story of the kit, how do you get that right? Well, these photographs, I mean, look at that background and so forth, gives you that detail. Like this guy is got horses are pulling his plow or pulling a wagon, I'm not sure, but who would have thought of that in World War II? No, maybe in World War I, but not World War II.
No, there were still a lot of horses available, but like I said, it's amazing, like to your point.
Look at the detail.
You can see all the little, and that's very important if you're not only building the armor, but if you think about doing a diorama, these books are absolutely, you can't live without them. And then of course, these are like volumes, like there is like a topic, there's a book written about every Panzer or every important tank in World War II, but then you also have the special books, and these are a little bit more pricey, but then I still think that they're worth every penny, because that will tell you not only the story, but also the development and all the different variants, all the close-up shots if you really want a super detail. Oh, we have somebody watching, David Mason, Gary Kawabata, and Mark Saperstein. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. And then of course, I think I've seen it in here, we got all these.
Look at the engineered drawings, you just flip past that too. For those of you who are truly technically educated, I'm sure it's very interesting to see this, and in working in your scale models, creating those same effects in scale.
But even, I've seen it in here somewhere, even...
Harder to do upside down, I think.
I know, but...
Of course it's Jeff, and
I'm
upside down, backwards, inside out. That's kind of to be expected.
Now I opened that book like 10 times before we started, and the first thing I opened was the color profiles, and now I can't find them because some of the color profiles are really. This is very stressful.
Well, and it's really helpful if you've got the color profiles, because as you know, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of colors of paint. You look in a Vallejo paint line or Mission Models, they've got hundreds of colors. So these color profiles are really helpful.
And just to give you an idea how quality these books are these days, it used to be back in the day it was just black and white and no fancy fare, but now you can easily have a very good color scheme, and also the weathering, because the artists now, they incorporate some kind of a weathering that you can duplicate on your model. So these books are absolutely a must, and this is the book that we're going to raffle off today, so don't...
Let me keep that one aside then, so no one loses it. And you raised the weathering point, and I think that's also really important, because the weathering, as we all know, is what really brings it to life. You do it out of the box and it's mint and pristine. I think that the actual stuff only looked that way as it rolled off the assembly lines when it was produced during the war times. So getting that weathering right to reflect, the kind of dirt they might have been going through versus a desert scenario versus a European mud scenario is really important. So these books, again, can really help with that.
Absolutely. And of course we have Case-Mate Illustrated. That's another good, I'm not going to say expensive, but a very good source of keeping the whole series or getting the whole series eventually.
What are the subjects? From Moscow to Stalingrad. So these are really the trips the journeys that they made between these places. Waffen, SS,
usually it's about
Normandy,
like a battle took place somewhere, and it goes more in detail. Now what really gets me going is once in a while you get these it's a series called Tankcraft. And Tankcraft, it will tell you a specific tank or a topic, but also it will also give you modeling tips, and also the different versions, and also the different brands that come out with the with that particular model. So I got inspired by that. I was, of course, when those books come in, me and Richard, we were like,
flies on honey.
Flies on honey. I can't say the other word anymore. But we
Got
were
in
like
trouble
that.
last week.
Yeah. So we had we hover around around Natalie's desk where all those books are, and it's very hard, you know, to you never have enough money to buy them all, so you have to be selective. And I was aware of these books, but I never really paid attention until I came across this one. One of the newest publications is about the Jagdpanther. And I like German armor, but specifically I like the Jagdpanther. And so I got inspired by this book because it will tell you everything you need to know. There is it's very well done, a lot of color profiles, a lot of tips and techniques. So this is a very good book, not all that expensive, but a very good book to have. On top of that, of course, when I saw that, then I really got inspired to get some of the new tanks that are out there, and I brought a couple here. First of all, one of my favorites about the subject is the RFM, the Ryefield version. So this is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful tank. And on top of that, again, they're I think under $100. I mean, it's probably more to the $60 range, $60-$70 range, and less if you get a discount. But it's absolutely amazing how much value you get for the money. Really, really nice. And I strongly advise, if you're interested in this kind of subject, try the Ryefield. Another good one, of course, and I'm sure they are related somehow, is the main version. So with either way you can't go wrong. But that's something that I always do. You know, I see a book and then I start thinking, and then I want this and I want that, and then eventually you end up with 5-6 things to start the project, and then you see something else, and then that will go into the closet. So you all know how it works. I'm not the only one out there that has like 5,000 kits in his attic. But again, quality is the name of the game these days. There is so much out there, and every time Casemate comes in, just fascinating what's out there. A couple other books I selected, I bought actually, was the Ardennes Battlefield. Now, you all know where I came from Belgium, and it used to be that when I was even a kid and in my younger years before I came to the United States, if I had like free time somewhere, sometime, got in the car and I drove to the Ardennes, to the battlefield, because in the 70s, believe it or not, in the 70s, some of the tanks like the Panthers and Shermans were still in the pastures where they left them. So
they didn't biodegrade, huh?
No. Meanwhile, of course, now they're all secured and they're protected. But back then, I remember vividly that we could go into a pasture and just there was a jumbo and there was a panther, and I have many pictures of that. But the landscape in 40 years changed a little bit, and these books are for me because I collect Ardennes. Battle of the Bulge is one of my favorite subjects too. So they're still coming out with new versions, and I still see new pictures that I never saw before. So
I particularly love the maps.
Mm-hmm.
It just tells the story. And just reaching out, we say hi to Jeff and Patrick and William. We're so glad you tuned in. Some of these names we see every week, and it's really a privilege that you guys take the time to listen to what Jeff has to say. Because you just never know what that's going to be.
Now since Gwynne is here, I have to be real careful what I say. But
trust me, it doesn't make him any more careful.
True. Another one, real quick, is the Leibstandard, the Ardennes offensive again. Now, I'm sure that you guys are familiar with After the Battle series, the big books. They started coming out in the late 70s, I think, early 80s. And those were those big encyclopedias about a certain subject. So after the battle always did about, let's say, a battle like in the Ardennes or in Berlin or the Blitzkrieg, but they also show you the places how it is today. So they show you a wartime picture and then compare it with how it looks today. Now, the same thing happened with After the Battle, the book that came out in late 70s, early 80s. Now, meanwhile, the landscape changed a lot. You know, in 40 years, a lot of people, things get built, a lot of structures, the city really expands. But still, this is more like a refreshment. So when this book came out, I really jumped on it because now it shows you pictures like it is today, not 40 years ago, not 70 years ago,
wow.
but like it is today. And surprisingly, and I've seen that a lot in Belgium, and I've seen that a lot in Normandy too, surprisingly, more and more now, people are aware that they become like a tourist attraction, and they really want to keep it the way it was. And
Well,
nothing is more invigorating if you down the line, if you ever want to make a trip to Europe, then go to the Ardennes in December or November or January when it's really cold and rainy and misty, and you travel those roads, then you really can feel what it must have been like 70 years ago. So
you also, I have been to the Nuremberg Toy Fair multiple occasions. It's in Nuremberg, Germany, and in Nuremberg, which everyone knows the importance of that in World War II,
trial.
that city sustained massive bombing. You'd be amazed that there would be any original structures left, and yet within the old walled city, most of the buildings that were severely damaged in the war managed to be restored, not rebuilt, but restored back to what they looked like before the war. So you can go through on the cobblestone streets of old Nuremberg and see what it looked like before the war. Some of the buildings still are pockmarked by shells and whatever that have blown up, but most of the major buildings that got annihilated were reconstructed so that you can get a bit of that history from before. And inside of these buildings, they'll have photographs. They'll have big photographs or pictures of what the devastation was and then what it looked like after they had done the restoration. So it's pretty amazing, the attention to detail. Probably not a big surprise given what we know about the German history of that time, that attention to detail would be so high. But again, it's all part of that storytelling, all part of the experience. Because really, model building is as much about the thrill of taking a box full of plastic and turning it into something as it is knowing the story behind it.
Absolutely. And talking about World War I, a lot of the cities that were shelled to actually destroyed during World War I, they also being restored to the old. But in Belgium, you can still, when you go to Ypres, when you go to Dixmuiden, or the old Flanders corner there's still some of the trenches are still there. And once in a while, and every year, a farmer, he will plow the field, and either his tractor sunk into some sort of a cache or a secret tunnel, and then they discover something. It is said that in every square yard in Flanders fields there is still one shell. Somewhere.
Oh, wow.
So most of them are unexploded. They're
that would not be a thrill.
And a lot of people. It's lesser and lesser now because they put a stop to it. But it used to be that they have these. They call them ammo tourism. So the farmers, what they did, they plow the field every year, and every year, with the circulation of the dirt, basically, a bomb or a grenade popped up. And then what the farmers did, they put them in front of their farm. And once a month, the military came by and picked them up, and then they made them explode somewhere. But also, people knew about that, and then got people from all over Europe. They came to Flanders, and they tried to get those bombs, and just as a collection. And then, of course, I don't have to explain, a lot of accidents happened where people lost their lives. So now what they do now the farmers, they put like a mark, like some sort of a red ribbon around the pole on the front, and then the army knows we have to go to the farm, and probably in his backyard he has this unexploded ammo. But there is still every single year thousands and thousands of those grenades are dug out of the ground. So you never know. But it got a lot better. So. More and more, the areas are open. It used to be that you couldn't even go on the beach because there was like 1 million landmines put there by the Germans, and it just you never know where you put your foot.
What could happen?
Yeah, what could happen. So basically that's all I have. We have to leave some stuff for next week.
I guess, yes. Well, I think the biggest thing about this is that just if you really enjoy the process of the building, being able to talk about what you've created to anyone who admires it, or even just to know for the satisfaction of knowing. It's really great that we have this collection of books to offer. It's constantly growing, it's constantly changing, and I know how much I enjoy pouring through it, and I see you and Richard fighting over it. So I hope that all of you who are watching, if you've got an interest, check it out, because the books are what really help bring this history to life, and is why I think the manufacturers keep coming up with new and different versions of these things, because the history keeps getting better and better, the detail of the history.
It's good that now more and more it works both ways. Authors and manufacturers, they work hand in hand, and it's now you don't have to worry about it. Like I said, if you're interested in some particular subject, either a tank or an airplane or whatever, doesn't matter what era, there is a book out there, and you can let your fantasy go. So.
And if you can't find something, let us know, because we'll be more than happy to help you.
Yeah.
I know our authors for the Squad Sig books, when they're out, they're constantly out looking for new subjects, and when some of these treasure troves you talk about, these collections become available, they contact us as far as book ideas too. Mm-hmm. So if there's something you're looking for, let us know. We think we've got it pretty well covered, but there are literally tens of thousands of volumes out there, and we don't have all of those.
No, I mean it's almost impossible, but we try to keep up at least with the newest versions of like new books, and especially Casemate and Schiffer Publications. Those are really
Ginter does a great job.
Yeah, I call them actually investments, because those books, if you really take care of them, especially the hardcovers, they don't lose any value. So again, just check our website out, because we incorporated a lot of new titles in our inventory, so it's really worth taking a look. And then
time for the drawing.
Time for the drawing.
The fun part of the week.
Yeah, and since you're here,
all right.
Get our Squadron bag now, because we have to eliminate the other one. I'll tell you that in a private session. So we're gonna raffle off this one for last week. So okay, go ahead.
All right. Oh, so much pressure. Pick the winning name. All right, this one.
Who is it?
Robert Chubb.
Okay,
Robert Chubb. So give us a call on our customer service line, or send us an email at customer care or the help desk, and we'll get this wonderful kit off to you as soon as possible.
And then, as we mentioned a little before, we're gonna a nice value, a very pricey book, but that will be an add-on to your collection. So next week's raffle, please leave a comment. Maybe there's maybe a misconception or misunderstanding. You can leave comments all the time, you know, even if it's like a week later. It doesn't have to be at the live show. It can be whatever you click on it and you watch the video. Just leave a comment, and you're eligible to participate in the raffle and win this beautiful book. Other than that, I would
Is there any other questions that have come through?
No questions today. No.
Okay.
Just a couple of shout outs. Reese Inman says, good show, guys.
Hey Reese, how are you?
Reese.
Bob says, and the stash grows, you know, about the books. I said, the more the merrier, right? Yeah. You just can't have enough. Mm-hmm. And one last one, Jerry Hendrickson.
Oh, hey, Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon.
And your beautiful wife.
Absolutely. Say hi to Sandy. So that's all for now. Again, spread the word. Please share, because it's very important that you share the videos either on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram. Please share it with your friends and family, because the more we grow, the more we can do this, the more possibilities there are out there. We would like to really grow this channel. And then, like I said before, go to our website at squadron.com. Go there at least 2-3 times a week and check out what new stuff came in.
Come in every day. So.
And then, other than that, I wish you all a very good, sunny and dry weekend. And maybe you have something to say?
No, we're just thankful for all of you who participate and join us on this journey every week. It's a great opportunity for us to really talk about the things in the hobby that excite us the most. If you have ideas of things you'd like to hear about on our Friday Facebook shows, let us know in the comments, and we will certainly look at that. We will have in coming weeks, like Joe said, we're going to be talking about some more books. We're going to be doing some inbox reviews.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of interviews coming up with some fans of the hobby in the local area. If you happen to be coming through and going to be here on Friday, let us know, because we'd be more than happy to welcome you.
Absolutely. And again, if you come up with a topic, if you say, hey, I would like to see more about this, or just let us know. It makes our life easier. Because it's just all for fun. So again, all right, then nothing is left other to do than signing off. So Jeff and Gwynne here, signing off.